Ladies and gentlemen, there is someone in your life who has been holding you back for years. Someone who whispers doubts into your ear, keeps you from taking risks, and convinces you that you are not good enough. This person has stolen your potential, wasted your time, and sabotaged your success. And the worst part, that person is you. Not the strong, determined version of you. No, I'm talking about the weaker version, the one that settles, the one that makes excuses, the one that chooses comfort over growth. That version of you needs to die. If you do not kill that weaker self, it will kill your dreams, it will kill your potential, it will kill your future. So today I'm asking you, are you ready to fight for the version of yourself that you were meant to be? Are you ready to silence the doubts, abandon the excuses, and step into the life you were born to live? Because the strongest version of you is waiting, but first you must do what most people are too afraid to do. The comfort zone is a dangerous place. It feels warm, safe, and familiar, but it is also the place where dreams go to die. The weaker version of yourself thrives here because it doesn't want to be challenged. It doesn't want discomfort. It doesn't want to risk failure. Instead, it whispers excuses in your ear, telling you that you're not ready, that it's too hard, that you'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes because the comfort zone is designed to keep you exactly where you are. Think about it. How many times have you set a goal, felt inspired, and promised yourself that you would change, only to find yourself back in the same place a week, a month, or a year later? That's because the weaker version of you will fight to stay alive. It will make you procrastinate, convince you that you don't have what it takes, and distract you with temporary pleasures instead of long-term growth. The reason most people never achieve their full potential is not because they lack talent or intelligence. It's because they refuse to leave their comfort zone. They allow the weaker version of themselves to dictate their actions. They choose easy over effort, security over struggle, and in doing so, they become trapped in a cycle of mediocrity. The truth is, everything you want, every goal, every success, every transformation is on the other side of discomfort. Growth only happens when you push yourself beyond your limits, when you take risks, when you embrace the unknown. It's in the moments when you feel like quitting, when your mind screams for you to stop, that you have the opportunity to kill the weaker version of yourself. Discomfort is not your enemy, it is your greatest ally. It is the price you pay for greatness. The strongest, most successful people in the world are not the ones who avoid discomfort, they are the ones who seek it. They understand that pain is temporary, but regret lasts forever. They refuse to let their weaker self dictate their future. They choose to step into discomfort over and over again because they know that is the only way to grow. The question is, will you? Will you remain trapped in the illusion of safety, or will you finally break free? Will you continue listening to the weaker version of yourself, or will you silence it once and for all? Fear is the most powerful force that holds people back. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as responsibility, but at its core, it is the one thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live. The weaker version of yourself feeds on fear because fear keeps you small. It tells you to stay where you are, to not take risks, to avoid failure at all costs. It convinces you that stepping outside of your comfort zone will lead to pain, embarrassment, and disappointment. But the truth is, the pain of staying the same is far worse than the pain of failing. Every time you let fear stop you from taking action, you reinforce the weaker version of yourself. You give it power. You allow it to dictate your choices. And with every excuse, every hesitation, every moment you give into fear, you shrink. Your confidence diminishes. Your potential fades, and eventually you become a prisoner of your own mind, locked inside the limitations you created for yourself. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. The strongest version of yourself is not the one that never feels afraid. It is the one that acknowledges fear and moves forward anyway. Fear is nothing more than an illusion, a barrier that crumbles the moment you decide to push through it. The people you admire, the ones who have achieved greatness, were just as scared as you. The only difference is they didn't let fear control them. They understood that fear is a test, a threshold they had to cross to reach the other side. Fear will always be there. It will show up when you start something new. It will whisper in your ear when you take risks. It will try to stop you when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. But every time you choose courage over fear, you weaken the hold that the weaker version of yourself has over you. You take back control. You prove to yourself that fear is not in charge. You are. The more you face fear, the less power it has. The first time you do something terrifying, it feels impossible. The second time, it's uncomfortable. The third time, it's manageable. And eventually, what once seemed like an insurmountable challenge becomes just another step forward. Fear only wins if you let it. The weaker version of yourself has mastered the art of making excuses. It knows exactly how to justify inaction, how to shift blame, and how to avoid responsibility. It tells you that the timing isn't right, that you don't have the resources, that life has been unfair to you. It convinces you that success is for other people, that the obstacles in your path are too great, and that you should wait until conditions are perfect before you take action. But perfect conditions do not exist, and every moment you spend waiting is another moment wasted. Excuses provide temporary comfort, but they rob you of long-term progress. They allow you to avoid discomfort, to escape accountability, and to remain in the illusion that external factors are responsible for your life's outcome. But the truth is, your life is a direct result of your choices. No one else is responsible for 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 your choices. No one else is coming to save you. The moment you accept full responsibility for your actions, your mindset shifts. You stop blaming circumstances, stop pointing fingers, and start focusing on what you can control. Accountability is the foundation of growth. It means looking in the mirror and admitting when you have fallen short. It means recognizing that if you are not where you want to be, it is because of the choices you have made. It is not an easy pill to swallow, but it is the only way forward. When you embrace accountability, you take back your power. You stop waiting for things to change and start making them change. You stop living as a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the creator of your future. The strongest version of yourself does not make excuses. It does not waste time complaining about what went wrong. It does not seek pity or validation for its struggles. It simply does what needs to be done. It shows up, takes action, and refuses to let obstacles become permanent roadblocks. There will always be reasons to quit. Always be justifications for why things didn't go as planned. But none of them will ever move you forward. The only thing that will is taking ownership of your life, your habits, and your mindset. The weaker version of you thrives on blame and procrastination, but the strongest version of you thrives on discipline, effort, and a relentless commitment to progress. Discipline is the foundation of transformation. It is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who stay stuck in mediocrity. The weaker version of yourself craves comfort, pleasure, and instant gratification. It wants the rewards without the effort, the results without the struggle. It convinces you that skipping a workout, hitting snooze, or putting off an important task just once won't make a difference. But success is not built on one-time efforts. It is built on the small, consistent choices you make every single day. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you weaken the grip of your weaker self. You prove to yourself that you are in control, that you have the power to act regardless of how you feel. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is what keeps you moving forward when motivation disappears. The strongest version of yourself does not wait to feel inspired. It does not rely on bursts of energy or perfect circumstances. It simply does what needs to be done, no matter what. The weaker version of you thrives on inconsistency. It convinces you to start strong but lose momentum. It lets you make excuses when things get hard. It tells you that skipping one day won't matter, but one day turns into 2, then 3, and before you know it, you are right back where you started. Discipline is what prevents this cycle from repeating. It is what builds the habits that shape your future. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose to wake up early, to work hard when no one is watching, to push through resistance, you cast a vote for the strongest version of yourself. When you give in to laziness, distractions, and excuses, you cast a vote for the weaker version. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent or luck. It is the number of times they chose discipline over weakness. Discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The first time you push through discomfort, it feels impossible. The second time, it gets easier. Over time, what once required extreme effort becomes second nature. The strongest version of you does not fight against discipline, it embraces it. It understands that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. The weaker version of yourself clings to the past. It replays old failures, holds on to past mistakes, and allows regret to define your present. It reminds you of every time you have fallen short, convincing you that history will repeat itself. It uses your past failures as evidence that you are not capable, not strong enough, not worthy of success. But the truth is, the past is only as powerful as you allow it to be. What has happened before does not dictate what happens next, unless you let it. Growth is impossible when you are anchored to who you used to be. Every time you dwell on past failures, you rob yourself of the opportunity to create something better. You cannot build a new future while carrying the weight of old disappointments. The strongest version of yourself understands that failure is not a final sentence. It is a lesson. Every mistake, every setback, every painful experience is an opportunity to learn, to adjust, to grow. Those who achieve greatness are not the ones who have never failed. They are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. The weaker version of you wants to keep you trapped in cycles of self-doubt and hesitation. It wants you to believe that because you have struggled before, you will struggle again. It convinces you that your past is a reflection of your future. But your past only holds power if you refuse to let go of it. The moment you decide that your past failures do not dictate your next move, you take control. You begin to rewrite your story. You stop living in the shadow of what was and start building what could be. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools for transformation. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. Let go of the guilt, the shame, the frustration over what could have been. You cannot change what has already happened, but you can decide what happens next. The strongest version of you does not look backward. It looks forward. It takes the lessons, applies them, and moves ahead with purpose. The past is a chapter, not the whole book. Growth happens the moment you stop identifying with who you used to be and start stepping into who you are becoming. The weaker version of yourself thrives on seeking validation. It constantly looks for approval from others, needing reassurance to feel worthy, valuable, or successful. It hesitates to take action because it fears criticism, rejection, and judgment. It molds itself to fit expectations, sacrificing authenticity for acceptance. But the truth is, no amount of external validation will ever be enough if you do not first validate yourself. The strongest version of you does not seek permission to be great, it simply decides to be. Living for the approval of others is a never-ending trap. No matter how much you achieve, how hard you work, or how much you try to please people, there will always be someone who disapproves. There will always be critics, doubters, and those who do not understand your vision. If you let their opinions dictate your actions, you will never break free from the cycle of self-doubt. The strongest version of you understands that self-worth is not something to be given, it is something to be claimed. Every time you hold yourself back to avoid judgment, you give power to the weaker version of yourself. You allow fear of criticism to control your decisions. But the most successful people in the world were not afraid to stand out. They did not wait for approval before pursuing their dreams. They moved forward despite the noise, despite the skepticism, despite the negativity. They understood that true confidence comes from within, not from the applause of others. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you gain real freedom. You stop making choices based on what will be accepted and start making choices based on what aligns with your purpose. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You stop wasting energy trying to prove your worth to people who will never see it. You start living for yourself, building a life that is true to who you are rather than one designed to meet someone else's expectations. Greatness is never found in approval. It is found in courage. It takes courage to trust your instincts, to stand by your values, and to chase a vision that no one else can see. It takes courage to be misunderstood, to be doubted, to be criticized, and to keep going anyway. The strongest version of you is not concerned with being liked. It is concerned with becoming the person you were meant to be.